We got quite a bit of Assassin's Creed Mirage gameplay and info before the big blowout during Ubisoft Forward. I want to go over that, but Ubisoft Star Wars game was also just announced. I got the first details. And I also want to look at more highlights from the Xbox show and Summer Game Fest. Of course, if you like these news roundup videos, then showing your support with a like on the video would really help me out. And subscribe, because I post one of these every Sunday. But first, the sponsor of this video, Microsoft Rewards, where you can earn a lot of great things for free. And there's now the Microsoft Rewards 1 million Riot Points sweepstakes that lasts until July 31st. Simply sign up to Microsoft Rewards for free. Find the link in the video description to enter, so totally check that out. Imagine what you can do with 1 million RP, like you can buy a ton of skins, champions, wards, or again use it in one of the other games. One thing you maybe did not know about me is that I played a ton of League of Legends back in the day. Lee Sin is still one of my favorite gaming characters ever. Anyway, how Microsoft Rewards works is that if you check things out on their website, I especially loved the history of gaming quiz. Totally tested my knowledge. You can also earn 5 points when you search with Microsoft Bing on PC and mobile, or up to 20 points per day when searching in Microsoft Edge. Like, there are many ways to get points. And with those points, you can get things like Xbox Game Pass or other gift cards. And again, there's this special 1 million Riot Points contest going on. So check my special link in the video description if you want to participate. If you are already a Microsoft Reward user, they can just enter for 200 points. So thanks to Microsoft Rewards for sponsoring the video, and now let's get back into it. Yes, Ubisoft put up a back to the roots behind the scenes video for Assassin's Creed Mirage, where one of the big things they announced was a nostalgic visual filter for the game, so it looks a lot more like the first AC. I think it's a fun touch, although I will probably go for the sunny regular look. Like, the gameplay looked great. I love the new stealth assassinations they showed, like surprising guards from hiding spots, also on rooftops or from the bench we can assassinate targets as well. They added new features for enemies like spearmen poking the haystacks. We already knew about the marksman that will shoot our bird out of the sky, so we'll have to take them out first before we can scan the environment. Of course, social stealth plays a bigger role this time. We can blend in with crowds or bribe factions with special tokens to infiltrate restricted areas. And we also briefly see a pickpocket button prompt here, which seems to be one press of the button again, instead of holding it like we saw in Valhalla. One thing that stands out in some of the other gameplay is the big number in the top right corner. I think this is for the skill points that we can spend, although your theories are of course more than welcome. Like, we know that there are not going to be levels that we can like gain or something, so I think skill points makes the most sense. And we will see way more of Mirage during the Ubisoft Forward event. I will of course bring you all the news here, so totally subscribe if you haven't already. And if you're watching before that happens, then yeah, you can watch live with us on Twitch and earn a special dive for the game via Twitch drops by linking your Ubisoft account and your Twitch account. A link to the countdown of that stream in the description and my Twitch channel as well, so hope to see you there. If you're watching later, then you can already find my Mirage video in the description there as well. And speaking of Ubisoft Forward, that's also when we get the first gameplay walkthrough for Star Wars Outlaws. The first open world Star Wars game from Ubisoft. You're now watching the cinematic trailer they revealed at the Xbox show. But the game, next to the Series S and X, is also coming to PS5 and PC in 2024. And the plan is to have this even launch in early 2024, although that's probably a bit too ambitious. The game is set between the events of Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back and Star Wars Return of the Jedi. And we play a Kay Vess, a clever scoundrel who is looking to attempt one of the biggest heists to start a new life. We also got a very cute companion, Nyx, and a trenchcoat wearing BX Commando droid. The game should feature familiar and brand new planets, and again they are open world, so probably think Kobo from Jedi Survivor, but larger, and then the fact that probably every planet will be like that. With vehicle combat happening as well, it should be story driven, again gameplay during Ubisoft Forward. I'm really curious. Like, the Xbox showcase was overall really solid. Some highlights include the Cyberpunk 2077 DLC finally having a release date, September 26th, and just look at how good Idris Elba looks in this game. It's kinda wild. $30, so a pretty sizable expansion, and some people went hands-on with it already and are really liking it. So sounds like a good time if you are a Cyberpunk fan. And where the PlayStation Showcase did not really reveal a lot of new games from Sony's own first-party studios, that was not the case at Xbox. We now, for example, saw the new game from the We Happy Few team. It's a very dark, mysterious title called South of Midnight, and it might include some monster slaying, as we saw main character Hazel ask a large character on a guitar if he could help her find this creature while he actually brought the creature to her. I totally am digging the vibe, but I want to see more before I can like really see if this would be a game for me. My favorite new game reveal was from In Exile, known for the Wasteland series. They are now doing a BioShock Infinite type time manipulation game where we see multiple versions of this steampunk city. It's a first-person shooter where we fight like robots that want to stop us. I'm really intrigued by the style, so yeah, I think this could be awesome. Capcom revealed a new game called Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess, an action-focused title that really stood out because of the creepy but also colorful style. Seems like there are different classes and some co-op action from the looks of it. Could be cool. Game Pass day one. We also got updates on already announced games, so like finally a great look at Avowed, although I don't think it was a great showing, focusing mostly on the fine looking combat and the not that interesting enemy design. It really reminds me of some of these sword fighting VR games that are out there that I saw when like browsing the store on my Oculus, which is not a good thing. While I'm sure that the quest and the RPG systems are probably going to be great, just like previous Obsidian titles. But yeah, I think the cinematic that we saw 2 years ago kind of set the wrong tone for what it turns out to be, but I want to keep an open mind. Like, this studio is of course great, the game should be out in 2024. Fable is alive and it still got a ton of British humor. That was kind of the point of the trailer they showed, no release window or anything, but it was cool to see the game again. I'm just not expecting like a release anytime soon, and I totally get it if you love like the Hellblade 2 footage, because it was really unique and kind of frightening, but I hope we would have seen more from the actual like moment-to-moment gameplay. Like, what will the combat be like? What are the puzzles going to be like? We also only got a 2024 release window. Like, this game is probably further out than we hoped, but yeah, it still looks visually stunning. So a lot of 2024 games this year at the Microsoft show. They do have Forza Motorsport on October 10th and quite some big Game Pass gets, actually, like Payday 3 will be on the service day 1, coming September 21st. Pretty huge. Which actually the same week as Lies of P, but I will touch on that game in a second. Also Game Pass day 1. And of course Starfield is the big one. Like, totally take the time to watch that direct if you haven't, because for me, I went from like low-key interested to full-on excited for the September 6th release, with there even being early access on September 1st if you buy a more expensive edition. Like, we probably want to do a full video on it, but some things that stood out was the improved combat that totally looks more polished, with third-person shooting looking great as well. There are some fun weapons we can use and some fun perks, like where you are a famous person and then fans will walk up to you, or where you can like visit your parents and get some bonuses from that. It's really awesome that next to space combat you can actually board enemy ships, take out the crew that way, and then steal the ship and use it yourself. You can make bases on almost every part of a planet, make it your home, choose the best view. Like, there's too much to touch on in this video alone, but I hope that they can realize their vision, because then this can be really big. They did not talk about 60 FPS on console though, so totally expect 30 FPS. But again, the Xbox show was really solid, and one of my biggest takeaways was the fact that all the new upcoming games they announced or that they showed from their own studios were single-player narrative-driven titles, which a big contrast to the PlayStation showcase, where Sony only revealed live service games from the PlayStation studios. Now sure, they still got single player games coming, but they really put the focus on these multiplayer experiences that they're now also putting a ton of money towards, while Microsoft showed that they're heavily investing in single player games instead. And this is probably because of Game Pass. Like, you could argue that Game Pass is Microsoft's live service in a way, and putting amazing story-driven games on that service will make people subscribe. While with live service games, there's a high chance that it's not great, and you also want a big enough audience, so making it free to play makes more sense, and of course, you want to earn money through different ways. I found it fascinating, I wanted to share that, and like, now they of course have to start delivering. Like, they can of course put up a big show, but the games have to be great as well. But what we saw seems promising, so I'm holding my fingers crossed, and I'm actually more excited about the future of Xbox now after watching this show. And a bit earlier in the week, we of course had the Summer Game Fest kickoff show that I actually enjoyed a lot. I thought it was great to hear developers talk about their games. They showed a lot of gameplay, release dates, and there were some cool surprises, like finally getting a new look at the second part of the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy. There are way more open areas to explore this time, even on the back of a chocobo, so I expect these zones to be pretty big. I really love the combo moves with different characters, and there are overall, of course, way more characters to play. So we likely have to select our party setup often, which I think is great. It looked a lot like the first game, maybe a bit too much, but I love that first game. So bring it on, early 2024, and yeah, 2 discs. This is going to be a large game. I don't know why they're like promoting this as if it's a good thing. But yeah, that means that's going to be more than 100 gigs, because 100 gigs fits on one Blu-ray for PS5. But first, we of course get Final Fantasy 16, and there might be a demo out by the time you watch this. So totally check the PlayStation Store if you are curious. Speaking of demos, the Lies of P has one out right now. I haven't had the time to play it yet. It's available till June 27th, even on old gen, but I spoke to Luke Stevens in our weekly free roam podcast. I will leave a link to that in the video description, and he really liked it. And I also think it looks really solid in the GameSpot gameplay. Very, very Bloodborne-y, but then we of course play Pinocchio. We also got a release date in the new trailer, September 19th. Totally looking forward to checking the demo out. Let me know if you already played it in the comments down below and what you thought. We'll probably stream the full release as well, and it is out on Game Pass day 1. Remnant 2 also got a release date, July 25th. I really think this is going to be bigger than people think. I never played the first game. I know I should. I heard good things about it, but this looks like an even better version of that. I will totally play this. There's a solo mode, or you can play co-op, and seems like next to the more horror fantasy enemies, we also got a lot of sci-fi targets to take out, which should be a nice change of pace. Totally keeping an eye on this one, and yeah, July 25th is very close. Kind of in a similar third-person action vein, we got Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 that showed off the co-op mode. It's releasing this winter. Witchfire got a new trailer, a first-person shooter where you kill fantasy enemies and have also some special magical powers. Early access starts on September 20th. Like again, many release dates and release windows in the Summer Game Fest show. January 2024 for Paul Worlds. Speaking of guns in interesting places, this basically Pokemon with firearms and other firepower. And they really did not try hard enough to not have these creatures look like familiar Pokemon. Although maybe that is the point, and that giving them guns makes this game more fun. I totally want to try this. We also got the new look at Banishers, Ghost of New Eden, from the makers of Vampire and Remember Me, Don't Nut, about a guy trying to bring back his dead wife, who's now a ghost, coming at the end of the year, so probably December. I think it looks cool. I'm keeping my eye on this one too. And I totally want to shout out Alan Wake 2. The gameplay did not reveal too much, but Sam Lake totally sold me on the idea of the 2 playable characters. So one is Saga, the FBI agent who investigates a small town in the Pacific Northwest and is not aware of the supernatural stuff that will happen. And we of course play Alan Wake, who is trapped in a nightmare dimension. But the cool twist is that you can switch between those characters at given points in the story, but you don't have to. Like, there's a choice. There's a 50-50 split between the content for both characters, but you can just play as Saga first, and then at the end of her like story, switch to Ellen, or play Ellen's story first. Or you can of course switch throughout the game, so then play as Saga, then as Ellen, then as Saga, then as Ellen, and of course the stories are like connected as well. I think it's a fascinating idea. If they nail it, it could be really cool. And again, the show also had some nice surprises, like a new 2D Sonic with a pretty cool looking art style coming later this year. I did not expect Spider-Man 2 to be here with an October 20th release date. Already went over that and all the additions they announced in a previous video. You can check that out via the link in the video description if you haven't already. And the Prince of Persia 2.5D was also a very nice surprise, coming January 18th, 2024. For every platform, we play a new hero named Sargon. Not the Sargon from Odyssey, sadly. No, but I love the art style, the focus on pretty cool looking boss battles. It's described as a fast-paced 2.5D Metroidvania with elements of the ancient Persian mythology. Now, the dislikes on this trailer are crazy. It's partly because of the rap music that they chose, but also because people want to see a AAA Prince of Persia game, but I don't think that's realistic anymore because they're focused on Assassin's Creed, which is... Of course, it's different, but it's also kind of similar. So I'm happy that Ubisoft, for one, goes back to like their sort of 2.5D side-scrolling type games, and also is doing something with Prince of Persia, because I really think it would be either this or nothing, and then I prefer this. So yeah, this coming week will be all about the Ubisoft Forward event on June 12th, where we'll also see more of this Prince of Persia game. It's very close when you watch this, or maybe it already happened. Again, we're live reacting, links to that in the video description, YouTube or Twitch if you want the drops. There will be more Diablo 4 videos as well, so a ton of fun stuff, and of course a new Sunday video at the end of the week. So subscribe to not miss anything. A like on the video would really help me out. You will see a Ubisoft Forward related video on the screen here, and I will speak to you very soon. Goodbye.